Marjorie, welcome to Ocean 17. You have a beautiful name. Is there a meaning behind?
Actually, yes. It's actually a very funny story. The name is English.
Okay.
No? But it was a very funny story because in the past, in France, the more high class you were, the more letters of your name, because you used to pay for each letter that you have. So this is why in the past everybody was Jean-Pierre and Jean-Claude and Marie Antoinette, you know. So there was a English family that moved, you know, to France, and they wanted to have a daughter, and they name normally Marjorie is until E, but TH, they add the TH, which is silent, just to give it a status to the name. And my mom saw it one time, and then she loved it so much, and she gave it to me.
That's such an interesting story.
Yes.
Well, look, what's going to happen now, I'm going to rub some stories out of your mind. And we're going to go through the 7 questions like the 7 C's, and we'll take it from there. Let's go with the first one. Humanity has been able to reach distant vistas, such as the moon, the deep oceans, and the wild expanses at the Earth poles. Now, scientists have made a new breakthrough in the exploration of a very different type of frontier, the hallucinatory world inside dreams. An international team of researchers was able to achieve real-time dialogues with people in the midst of lucid dreams, a phenomenon that is called interactive dreaming. Within our industry, the word interactive is very much present. Is sometimes overused, but it is never associated with the word dream. If you were to use interactive dreaming, lucid dreaming, as a new communication channel, what would you do with it?
Wow, that is a very interesting question. Interactive dreams. What will I do? Well, actually, I was like a couple of months ago in an exhibition that it was all about gaming, you know, the history from gaming.
Right.
And they had something that you had to lie in a kind of like in a bed. They put like some headphones, you know, that had some special sounds. And they had this big thing that you put it actually in your belly. And the game was that in this thing that you put on your belly, it was all the time moving, you know, and doing kind of like the whole trip that a game will do, you know, but it was all about sensory.
So you will feel it in your stomach?
You will feel it in your stomach.
That's a good way.
So I was like very like, wow, like it was a very sensorial thing, you know, and I think that if you could use something like this, because it's very relaxing at the same time, and it goes directly in your subconsciousness, you know? So I think that maybe I would create something like this, that it will...
That's such an interesting...
Yeah, maybe why not?
Yeah,
you know,
not?
like...
Feeling the dream in your stomach.
You are feeling it in your stomach.
I love it.
Exactly.
That's it, dreams.
Yes.
Okay, good. There is a true fable out there, and it carries the signature of Patti Smith. Are you familiar with Patti Smith?
No.
She was a singer in the 70s and like a poet. It is the one that like wrote the song Because of the Night. It is a fable that comes in the shape of a book. It is a portrayal of two young artists, a prelude to fame. It was the summer Coltrane. John Coltrane was a great drummer. He died. The summer of love and reels. And the summer when a chance encounter in Brooklyn led two young people on a path of art, devotion, and initiation. She wrote a book called Just Kids, and is permeated by youth and love. Two young ocean mixing water and hopes. These two kids, Patti Smith and his boyfriend, were living at the Chelsea Hotel. I don't know if you're familiar with the Chelsea Hotel.
Oh, yeah?
Okay.
Yes.
Back in the day, it was like a hub for artists. That's where Dylan Thomas lived. That's where Sid Vicious from like Sex Pistols, like stabbed like Nancy, his girlfriend. So a lot of good stuff happened there. Arthur Miller was there too. So was there ever a moment when what you did and how you did it in that particular moment defined your career?
Yes, actually, yes. When I one time I started as an account.
Okay.
Yeah, I started an account in J. Walter Thompson in Venezuela. Actually, I did an internship there, and when I was there as an account, one time the creation were like really really busy. You know, they all freaking out, right. And I had this project that I had to brief somebody to do, and it was a billboard for a telecommunication company that we had in Venezuela. It was MobileNet. And they told me that, you know, I was like, I didn't really have anybody there that, you know, to brief. So I actually wanted to do it myself.
You did it.
Yeah, and then I told the creative director, because I knew that the creatives hate when the accounts do anything, you know? So I was just like, okay, I'm not going to do this. Like, I know how it goes. So I told the creative director, was like, look, like, you guys are so busy with so much work. So if you want, I can write some ideas, you know? You can take a look, and then I will present it to the client just to give some time. And then you guys can have a little bit more time for things. He was like, "You gonna write the ideas?" And I was just like, "Yes, that's what I want to do." And then he told me, "Okay, whatever," you know. So I wrote the idea, and then I showed it to him, and I just wrote one idea, right. You know. And then I told him, like, "What do you think?" And he saw it, and he was like, "There's nowhere on earth that the client is gonna buy this." And I told him, like, "That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking you, do you like it?" It was like, "It's really, really good, but there's no way the client is gonna buy this." So I went and I sold it.
That's awesome.
You know. So I went back to him and I said, like, "Well, I sold it. We're doing it." And he was like, "Really? You did?" And by the way, I'm switching from the account to the creation, and up from now on, I'm a junior. You know, I'm doing my internship as a copywriter.
I like that. What a story. I like that,
yes,
man.
Yeah.
Good girl, man. That's awesome. Look, at Rory Ocean, this actually is a good segue for like this type of personality, Katharine Hepburn. You familiar with her? Like,
Katharine
Hepburn.
Hepburn.
Famously shunned the Hollywood machine and refused to conform to society expectation of women. She was outspoken, assertive, and athletic, and wore trousers before they were fashionable for women. With her unconventional nature, Hepburn epitomized the modern woman in the 20th century United States, and he's remembered as an important culture figure. You are a proud member and a part of the presidency of the Hairdressers Club Germany and part of the ADC Europe. If you had a chance to sit down with Katharine Hepburn right now and start a conversation about women in advertising, what would it be your opening line?
Okay, that's a good one. The first thing that I would say is like, what do you think will be the next step for a woman to achieve what you achieve, but in this time? Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. I like that. That's a good opening line, and also like a lot of meaning inside.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yes, I think that it is magical what is happening for women, I have to say.
I'm very happy.
I'm like very happy. As a woman myself, you know, and also as a mother of a daughter, I think that is
I'm with you. I'm a father of 2 little girls.
Yes.
So I think that it's only like, you know, beautiful. And I don't think enough is happening. I think we should like move faster. We are still not at the same level. But we definitely, at least like for the American market, we definitely like made some progress, but it's not enough.
It is
it's
not
never enough, that kind of progress.
No,
so.
but we are much better, you know. You see, like when I started also, no, it was not, people didn't really, well, I remember one time I came up with an idea, and I presented, and the girls, that I presented, I had two senior women, you know, copy, and I presented the idea, and they really love it, and then they told me to tell to the creative director, so I presented, and I presented, and he was like, oh yeah, whatever, you know, and I was like, wow, they told me that it was very, very good. Like 2-3 days later, he came back and he said like, oh, the guys had this really good idea.
It was the same idea that
and
you
it was
had.
exactly the same idea.
Yeah.
And the girls were like, but that was the same idea Marjorie presented to you 2 days ago. And he was like, really? And I was like, yes. And the girls were like, show it again. So I show it. He was like, oh, I didn't. So I didn't take it mad from him. Like I really liked it, my creative director. But what happened was, is like, he assumed that because, you know, I was like young and the pretty girl, you know, it was kind of like, you know, you're looking good, you cannot be that smart, you know. So I guess that didn't pay the attention that should have paid, just because of, you know, filling up all of the cliches like, oh, it's okay, we have you here, but you know, and these have changed, you know, these have changed. Right now, you see, there are much more women that really know what they should be, that people have to listen to them, you know. And I think that this is something that we all women, it's our job, actually, you know. All women, we have to support all other women. So if we all support each other and help each other, that's already a lot, you know.
Totally agree. In the 18th and 19th centuries, it took on average 6 weeks to cross the Atlantic. Nowadays, it generally takes between 6 and 8 days. So it's fair to cross like with the boats. So it's fair to say that speed is probably the single most important gift we received from technology when it comes to traveling. But speed can be a burden too. Looking at the state of our industry, speed has forced us to shorten the time between conception and execution. If you were given back that time that was stolen from our craft, which campaign of yours would you revisit, edit, and change?
I will tell you. Which campaign?
All of them or one?
I'm going to try to look for one. Actually, the campaign that I try all the time to do the campaigns, as, you know, to really take the time to do the things. Like I really manage to talk to the client to take the time that it deserves. But right now I was changing agencies, you know, so I had to leave a baby, you know, that it was not done, you know, by the time, you know, because it was like, they wanted to go to test and stuff like this, so they sent it, you know, by the time that I was leaving, and I'm not there anymore, and I'm kind of like a little bit sad about it, you know, because I think that I would have wanted to do it till the end, just because I think it is a very, very good idea, and I think that it has a lot of potential to do something very new in this particular category. And now is everything not happening, and I feel that the client should have no rush, you know, and do it the way they have to do, because it was with the use of a new technology, and it was very, very first time to do it, so it takes time.
Of course.
You know, because it was
that's
try
what we don't have.
That's what we don't have. The client wanted just like, let's do it really fast, and it have to be done, and we need to, and I was just like, yeah, but we don't know what we're doing because it's new. It's very, very new. And
that's where speed becomes a problem.
And this is where the speed becomes a problem, you know, because you really need to do it, review it, do it and review it. And this project really hurts me because of timing. Yeah.
Last question. Okay, so I had no dream the sea so deep, the earth so dark. So long my sleep, I have become another child. I wake to see the world go wild. From a stray poem by Allen Ginsberg come these heartfelt words. The last time we all woke up to see the world go wild, it was a few years ago. The pandemic struck. Have these surreal times turned you into another child, a child of wonder, as Allen Ginsberg said in the poem? Have you somehow experienced some sort of rebirth of after the pandemic?
After the pandemic.
Yeah.
I actually, what I realized in the pandemic is I realized things, for example, from my kids that that I didn't see before.
Happened to me too, though.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The consequences of their lack of social skills.
Yeah. So
I noticed that.
So it's just but it was very confusing, not only for us was confusing, but for the kids was even more confusing.
But you touched a very, very important point, because I was actually thinking just happened to be thinking about this a couple of months ago, watching my daughter. She's 12 now.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that the consequences of those 2 years where she couldn't really have any social interaction. I'm only seeing the consequences and the result I'm only seeing now, 2 years after. For 2 years I thought this will pass.
Yeah.
We'll go over this, but I would have never thought you will feel the blow. Yeah. Not now. You will feel it in 2 years, and you will see it. I kind of think that there was there is a long-term COVID, even for mental and social interaction.
Yes,
mental health,
Yeah, it is, because also the new generation, and this is what they talk about all the time, about the new generation being different. Of course, they have to be different, because many of the young people, they rather work at home because they were locked at home for 2 years.
That's true. There is an entire generation that hasn't experienced being at the office.
Yeah.
But I do think that when I talk about rebirth, I think that somehow, and I don't want to speak for other people, but somehow I do think that rebirth, it could be the right term, because there is a certain kind of lifestyle that we won't go back to.
No.
And that's for sure. I don't think anybody is crazy enough to think that we're going to go back to going to the office 5 times a week. At least not in America.
No,
I can tell you that.
And
I don't think that.
America.
I think that for that, there is a non turning back, and I'm glad about that. If that was the only silver lining out of the pandemic, I have to say I'm glad about that, because we prove ourselves that certain kind of things can be done remotely, and there is more flexibility. And we were forced to explore a different method, a different approach to work, and we saw that work. It did work. It doesn't have to be always remotely. But we definitely doesn't have to be 5 times a week in the office.
I agree, but in the other side, we have to also, it's also in our hands to open up this culture of making the people not to be afraid to be in groups and working together.
That's why flexibility.
Yeah. Exactly. So I think that you have to have a healthy combination of those.
Absolutely.
Because,
but give people option and freedom. That's the beauty.
This for sure. I think that everybody learned that. You have to buy. Look, I'm gonna very simple. When I started, I always thought like this, but it's something that it was before the pandemic. When I was working as a junior, I was a kid, I'm starting in advertising. I never imagined that the ideas coming in a room or in an office. So I was all the time away. I was all the time going to in Plankton and Blumen in Germany. I was just all the time going to a museum, and I was going to a library, and I was going to I was all the time away thinking and brainstorming. when I had the idea, I would go back to the agency, I would write it down, and then I would present it, because I love to have the presentation in, as a live interaction, to explain the people how to do it. And the people were not used to this, And my bosses in that time, they were saying, like, she's tricking us, What is she doing again? She's gone again. I don't think that she's working. And one time I got a confrontation, with somebody in the agency. It was a big account person, and she told me, how do you think that, how long do you think that you're going to be tricking us? And I was just like, look, I'm going to tell you one thing. For every 3 ideas that go to the client, all the time, in every presentation, 2 are mine.
Yeah.
So if you think that I'm tricking you, I think that I am in the wrong place, because I'm proving you, that I am more effective than all of the people that you are forcing them to stick in here. So I do believe in, like, going out and brainstorm, but I also believe in that. I don't believe also in sticking in an apartment.
Absolutely. Oh, that's not what I was talking about.
Yeah.
What I was talking about is we didn't have the flexibility before.
Yeah.
We were forced to go to the office 5 times a week. We also need to, like, think, like, wide, right? Like, not everybody has a 10 minutes commute.
Yeah.
If you live in Hamburg, it's a very, very small city. Probably to commute for you is probably like, 15 minutes?
Yes.
If you live in the States, an average commute is 45 minutes.
Yes.
So now all of a sudden you're looking at like 2 hours in the car.
Yes.
So like, I think like we always like make this like very like, simple mistake of looking at life of others through our lens. And so we think that everybody has a 10 minutes commute. We think that everybody lives like close to the agency. That's not the case. That's why we need to give like flexibility. We need to give freedom. Let people decide.
Yeah.
Trust people. Let people decide what to do, how to do it.
Yes.
I'm not saying that they need to work like 5 times a week.
Yes.
They need to work 5 times a week from home. But an healthy balance is what people deserve. And I think that this before and after is truly like one gift that the pandemic gave us.
Yes, it does. I mean, to be honest, I'm a CCO. I am not living right now in Hamburg. I'm living in Düsseldorf. So I go to Hamburg, because I really want to meet the people and I want to be in the office. But I go to Hamburg like on Monday or then Tuesday, and I spend 2-3 days, and then I work 2 days at home, so I can,
But the commute, no, of course. When I talk about the commute, though, like let's say having worked in Europe and having worked in the States, I can tell you that in the States, the commute is a big thing because of the distances, because of like the city are so spread out. So if you live in LA, to commute is like, you're lucky if you have a 40 minutes commute in LA.
Yeah.
You're very lucky. Like 40 minutes in some city in Italy, it takes you to the old city for 40 minutes.
Yeah,
like, what I mean? It's like you can't even compare.
No.
So it's like you have to take into consideration all these like different things, like, that's why, like, if you live in Manhattan, 40 minutes. I mean, Manhattan is 11 miles.
Yes.
Like, everybody's close to work.
Yes.
But that's not the same if you live in Austin or, like, again, like, there are different situations, different circumstances, But, no, I think we agree on the same point. It's just, like, definitely flexibility is the big point on that.
Yeah. A healthy, and I think that everybody should find their middle point.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
In 1922, a young Picasso took an interest in classical art, specifically that of the Hellenistic period. The result is a painting known as Woman by the Sea. I don't know if you have seen this painting, but it's quite beautiful. While he imitated the sculptural form of the woman in the painting, according to the Hellenic tradition, he deliberately distorted the forms of the body. And that's why it's fascinating, this painting. He took like the Hellenic tradition and he broke the rules in a very Picasso way.
Yeah.
Foreshortening the figure and compressing space and depth. If you were to mentor a young creative who is about to start in the industry, which of the many rules would you advise him or her to break?
I always said, and I really love Picasso, because Picasso also said, to be able to break the rules,
You need to know the rules.
you really need to know the rules. So this is also something that I said. Really learn the rules and how the things should be, and then find how to do it in a different way.
Of course.
That's where creativity comes, you know?
Sure.
And this is where the magic comes, you know? The same system, the same way. And this is why, talking about the Miami Art School, I remember Ron told us something really, he told us, like, listen to music that you never listen. Wear clothes that you never imagined to wear. Go to ways that you never imagined. Just do every day something completely opposite of what. Try food that you thought that you don't like. You know? Try to fit in other cultures. Try to be Buddhism for one day. Try to be a Jewish person for one day. Try to get to understand other people, cultures, styles, and try to understand why they like it. It doesn't mean that it's going to be for you, but then you understand these people. And maybe you will find things that you really like. And this is where the magic goes. And this is why the magic of mixing things, you know, and this is why the things are much better after they are mixed than when you have something that is straightforward. So this is the same rule. You have to tell them, like, whatever you do, try straight and then
distort it.
Distort it after.
Yeah. Okay, so last question. You are the president of design and packaging design category. The Las Vegas and London International Awards marriage has lasted for a few years now. There is this like weird combination between like an award show and a city of sin, Las Vegas, when everybody gambled their way out of life. There is a certain kind of age to this marriage. And from a design point of view, it's quite fascinating. You have this opulence, this decadence, these like flashy colors, the carpet, the golden everywhere, this architecture which is fake, but it's fake in a precise way, in its own way. Architecture here in Vegas actually has kind of like a major following, and you can find a lot of creation from the minds of architects that are quite famous, like Cesar Pelli and Daniel Libeskind. You can find in restaurants, you can find like in some of the sculpture in the outskirts of Vegas. What kind of parameters do you actually use to judge the best work in design? High-level parameters, not like, you know, in the specific, of course, because in the specific you need to know what are you judging, but in general, what are your like parameters of that define this is good design work?
A good design work is something that makes something much easier to use, but at the same time, it looks like something you have never seen before. Is design have to function, but at the same time, design something that stand out of the range. But there are different kind of, you know, ways of seeing the things, you know. For example, I mean, if you see, for example, the shape of the bottle of the Coca-Cola, you know, is something that nobody forgets. And is the way of creating a bottle that was different of all the other bottles in this moment, you know, and giving the shape of the bottle like a shape of a woman, you know. You can give it a lot of interpretation, but to give a piece of something a different meaning, that's what it makes a great design. When it stick to things, you know, when the people remember the bottle of the Chanel perfume, you know, the shape, you can see it without a logo, that is a great design. So all of the things that without having the name written and having a shape in the form that you will never forget, whatever it is, that is a good design.
That's a good definition. I love that. Well, look, thank you so much for being part of Ocean 17. It was like an amazing ocean crossing. And how long are you going to stay here for?
Until Sunday.
Until Sunday. We fly on the same day. I fly back to San Diego on Sunday.
Oh, you're living in San Diego?
I do live in San Diego.
I love San Diego. I love San Diego. Now I understand everything.
Okay.
Now I understand everything.
Now you connect the dots.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me, and